Hello, everybody. To all of the members of BD Nation, I'm so excited to be welcoming all of you to this next episode of Travel Talk with Rob Baker. I'm coming to all of you tonight from beautiful Los Angeles, California. It's an incredibly beautiful spring day outside, about 80 degrees. And this is a day that when I look outside and I see the bright, beautiful blue skies and the sunshine, one of the reasons why the population of California has zoomed to 40 million people is that a lot of people like this beautiful sunshine. So it's great to be with all of you. We're going to be talking travel again tonight. So great. Oh, it looks like we have a little bit of interference with the sound, but great to have all of you. I've dressed in a yellow and blue and green shirt to symbolize springtime and travel time. And I don't know about all of you, but I'm sensing that things are picking up in a very big way right now. We're still, of course, wearing masks and social distancing, but people are getting out and about. We just had a wonderful event in Las Vegas, and Las Vegas was absolutely filled with people. Los Angeles is filled with people, and I think we've got millions of people that are on the cusp of feeling a great desire to get out and start traveling again. In fact, one of our brand ambassadors was just talking to me a couple of days ago, and she's super excited because I think it's, in fact, tomorrow that she's leaving on her PES trip to Riviera Maya in beautiful Mexico. She's super excited to take advantage of the beautiful resort accommodations that she's going to be able to do. So welcome all of you to this season of travel, season of springtime. And we're lucky once again to have such a worldwide expert as Rob Baker that is going to continue to give us some great information, some wise knowledge, some golden nuggets of information. Make sure you have your paper and your pen ready to take a note, because I'm sure that the things that Rob is going to share with all of us tonight will help everyone to understand the very significant element of travel that exists in the value proposition of by design. So without any further delay, Rob, I'll officially turn the mic over to you and tell you thank you once again for being here with us tonight.
All right, thanks a lot, Dave, and I want to welcome everybody from around the world to participate in this month's Travel Talk. I would recommend that for those of you that have teams and organizations to make sure get the recording of this Travel Talk and make sure that you send the link to your team. So this way they get an understanding of what's happening with travel. I'm going to go ahead and initiate my screen here. And we're going to get started with an overview presentation, kind of giving an update of some of the things that are happening in the travel world. We're actually today going to talk a little bit about some travel industry news, go into some latest information on Corona travel updates. Also, I want to go over some things that people have been contacting our customer service about, some of the top things that I want to help clarify to help you have a better experience and to maximize your benefits. So the first thing that I thought was real interesting is, obviously I'm in the travel industry. I have a travel agency. We have home-based travel agents. By the way, we're going to be hopefully launching our home-based travel agent program for South America in mid-May. I have a big call tomorrow to kind of give an update on where that's coming. But for those that are actually involved in the travel industry, they're finding that travel is actually being booked, like Dave just talked about. People are clamoring to travel. People want to get out and travel. So there's an organization in the travel industry for home-based travel agents called the KHM Group. And they conducted a survey of over 600 travel advisors. These are people that are home-based travel agents. And they found that 56% of the respondents said that they were booking trips for the summer and for starting next year. One area that is probably going to be a lot slower in picking up is the cruise line industry. Matter of fact, only 25% of the agents said that they were going to be booking cruises for the winter or the end of 2021, while 32% said that they're going to be have already booked trips for 2022. So cruises are going to be a little bit slower getting back into travel, but ground packages, all-inclusive resorts, vacation theme parks, those are all being booked really quite well right now. So this is kind of a recap about travel agents. 81% have actually booked some type of land travel for 2021 through 2022. So people are actually planning their travel all the way out to next year. And then, like I said, 25% have actually booked for 2021 and over 33% for 2022. So travel's coming back as more and more people get vaccinated. You're going to be able to get back out there and have the confidence to travel. And a lot of the resorts are starting to open up, even though they maintain Corona protocols. So just kind of some updates, some general information for those of you that want to keep up to date on what's going on. You can go to the website. It's called cdc.gov/coronavirus. And once you go there, you can kind of go through all the different pages. So this is kind of the latest information that I thought was kind of interesting to point out. They're finding that actually fully vaccinated travelers are less likely to get and spread the coronavirus. So they are seeing positive results in regards to the vaccine. People who are fully vaccinated with an FDA authorized vaccine can travel safely within the United States. Now, what does that mean? Well, there's some states that require what's called self-quarantine. California, New York, a few other states require that if you're coming into their state, you have to take a test 3 days before, 72 hours before, to show that you're negative, and then they still want you to self-quarantine. Now, that's just in the United States if you're traveling state to state. This isn't even international travel, people coming in from around the world. So if you are traveling from anywhere around the world to the United States, you have to take a test, a COVID test, an approved COVID test, 72 hours prior to getting onto the plane. And you'll have to show that proof when you board the plane in order to actually take the flight. But for the United States, which was kind of interesting, because I've been actually traveling quite a bit since November. I've probably taken 12 airline flights since November myself, going to different locations, primarily to Florida. Florida's been a phenomenal place to travel, especially Orlando, Tampa, down in that area, Sarasota. A lot of great things that you can do in Florida. A lot of great amusement parks and such, like we've talked about before. So those that are fully vaccinated are not going to have to do any quarantine in any states of the United States. But they still want you to maintain, even though you are vaccinated, they still want you to wear your mask, stay 6 feet from others, and wash your hands. Now, obviously, if you're taking the vaccine, hopefully that's going to start changing in terms of requiring the masks and all that other kind of stuff. So if there's a definition for what fully vaccinated actually means. Fully vaccinated means that 2 weeks after your second dose of Pfizer or Moderna vaccine, because as maybe you know, that those two vaccines, you have to take multiple shots. However, the Johnson & Johnson shot, you only have to take one. And I'm going to go ahead and announce tonight that I just took mine last Friday. Actually, last Saturday, I took a Johnson & Johnson's myself. I was real reluctant to do it. I kind of wanted to wait, but being involved in the travel industry, I cannot be put in a position that I can't travel around, especially eventually going global, to set up some of our dream escapes, the trips that we're going to be introducing through By Design, that you're going to be able to travel the world with us. So I got to be able to travel the world and negotiate deals with vendors and suppliers. So I had to go ahead and get that vaccine. I will tell you from my own experience, it's been kind of, for me, a little bit sluggish for about a week. The first 48 hours after taking that Johnson & Johnson test, I did have a lot of body ache, headaches, things like that. but then it kind of went away. So I haven't really had any major negative effects so far. Everything's been okay, except a little bit lacking of energy and a little bit of soreness still. But hopefully that'll be working out as these things start to, run its course. So this is the full definition of what it takes to get vaccinated. So over on the right, there's just a real simple chart that you could get at the CVD coronavirus website, and basically has a real simple outline of what it means to be vaccinated or not vaccinated and fully vaccinated. So make sure that no matter where you're traveling, whether you live in the United States and you're traveling within the United States, if you're traveling international from country to country, if you're traveling into the United States from around the world, make sure that you check out the websites to assure what the rules and policies are, because they're continuously changing. Matter of fact, I thought California was quite interesting. California is probably one of the worst states in the United States, including New York right now. California, in terms of a state, has a standard, what's called policy, of discouraging any tourism or recreation travel to California. So no matter where you live, whether it's the United States or international, California is really saying, hey, you should not come into the state right now. If you do, you need to take a test 3 days before, 3 days after, and self-quarantine for 10 days after you arrive. Now, I don't even know what that means. There's no regulatory system in California that tracks, what you're doing. So even though this is kind of like on the honor system, California has that kind of a rule. But here's the thing. You really need to check county by county. In the state of California, for example, it's broken up in counties. Like, for example, you have Los Angeles County, you have San Bernardino County, you have San Diego County, and you want to take a look at the counties, not just the cities, but also the counties, to find out kind of what you can do. So Los Angeles is kind of strict. They've actually passed a mandate for Los Angeles that requires that you have to take a test not only before you get there 3 days, but also you need to, with a negative result. And once again, I don't know who you're showing when you come into LA. I still haven't figured that out yet. I don't know if you get on a plane to Los Angeles, if you're having to show a test. No one's able to identify that. The bottom line is that they're saying that if you're traveling into Los Angeles, now this isn't the rest of California, just Los Angeles, you need to have that COVID test and show that prior to getting onto the plane. And then also they want you to take the test before and show a negative result before you get back on the plane to return. All travelers who test positive or develop any symptoms must isolate and follow what's called the isolation instructions that you could find on the website. And Los Angeles is basically saying, look, non-essential travelers who are not fully vaccinated arriving in or returning to California from other states or countries must quarantine as described below. So when we talk about quarantine, the state of Los Angeles, I should say state of Los Angeles, state of California, the county of Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles are saying that you need to quarantine if you're not vaccinated for at least 7 full days after travel, and then also get a negative test. Quarantine for up to 10 days after travel if you do not get tested with a viral test, and then 14 days after your arrival if you have any type of what's called symptoms or you test positive when you land back. And once again, I have yet to been able to find anything that has some type of required registration. Like, for example, in Hawaii, that we'll talk about in a minute, you actually have to register. So this is more, I think, on an honor system. But one county that is pretty good is San Diego County. Matter of fact, I'll be in San Diego in June doing some site inspections for some different resorts. And they're at what's called the orange tier. And basically what they're saying in San Diego is, hey, come on in and you don't have to take a test. You don't have to do any of the quarantine or anything else like that. But just make sure that you have your mask and you're within 6 feet. They are opening up restaurants, they're opening up beaches, parks, museums, and attractions. So San Diego is a great place to visit, and hopefully they'll be really starting to loosen the rules, at least in that area. For cruises, one thing that is becoming quite apparent is the cruise line industry is looking like they're all going to come together and require that in order for you to go on a cruise, you have to have an actual full vaccine. So companies like Royal Caribbean, Celebrity Cruise Line, Crystal Cruise Line, American Queen Steamboat, Unicruise Adventures, America Cruise Line, all these companies are actually launching cruise ships starting May of this year to the end of the year, and then obviously in 2022. And they're basically requiring that you have to have a COVID test, not just a COVID test, you actually have to have a proof of vaccination. So these are what are called passenger and crew mandatory vaccination. So they're actually mandating and requiring that their crew has to take the corona vaccine. So just to kind of give you an understanding, I think that's kind of where the cruise line industry is going. I hope that they may take a little bit more consideration on that for the people that don't want to take the vaccine for whatever medical reason or other issues of allergic reaction possibilities or pregnancies or things like that, that you really shouldn't probably take that vaccine, and definitely get with your doctor to evaluate that. But it would be nice if maybe they had optional ones that, you know, you're able to take a test before you get on, and then it provides people an option of either being vaccinated or not vaccinated. And it's up to the individual to decide whether or not what kind of cruise ship they want to go on. If I want to go on a fully vaccinated one, I can go on that one. If I could go on one that provides you options, I should be able to go on that one. So we're going to learn more about what the cruise lines industry is doing. And that's going to be obviously predicated on how well the vaccine is received by cruise line customers. I said earlier about Hawaii. Hawaii started to open back up. They have this thing called the CLEAR system. Basically, you have to show within 72 hours a negative test when you come into Hawaii. Now, when you come into Honolulu, which is kind of Oahu, the main island where you fly into, all the other islands have their own rules that we'll talk about in a minute. But there are select airlines that are working with the state of Hawaii. Delta Airlines is working a deal with them in terms of processing customers through the airlines to get that testing. In addition, they have a free mobile app that you're able to download, and all you have to do is, you know, just Google Hawaii's COVID-19 health app, and there's an app that you could actually sign up and register for, because you have to pre-register when you come into Hawaii. Even if you have the vaccine, taken the vaccine, you're still going to have to register with this CLEAR system. And then once you've registered with that CLEAR system, you're going to have a mobile app to be able to load up all your information to show that you've been cleared through a 72-hour test, or you've actually been vaccinated so you don't have to be quarantined. Because Hawaii was big time in quarantine. They were doing up to a 10-day quarantine if you traveled to Hawaii. So it really killed the tourism industry there. So what happens is travelers wanting to go to Hawaii and use what's called the CLEAR platform, they're going to be able to once again take a test prior to getting on the plane. And then when they go to the boarding gate of wherever you're going to be boarding to go to Hawaii, there's going to be what's called a CLEAR ambassador that's going to basically scan what's called a QR code or a health pass to validate that you've satisfied all of the requirements. So bottom line is those requirements are going to be found on that mobile app. And that's kind of what ends up happening in terms of validated and verification. So they're pretty much the only state within the United States that actually has this type of a system of a mobile app to track. Also, when you get into Hawaii and you land and you're showing you're in compliance, they're going to be providing a wristband that you have to wear the entire time you're in Hawaii to show that you've been through the protocols and you're all good. Some other Hawaii news, it's been growing. So people are traveling to Hawaii. Hawaii is actually one of my favorite destinations around the world to travel. I'm hoping that one day we'll be able to do a by design dream escape to Hawaii and have a lot of fun out there. Got a lot of great connections, a lot of fun things to do. But Hawaii's been growing. It's the hotels were reporting 30% occupancy level increase from January. And now they're nearing up to 85% occupancy in February. So people are starting to go to Oahu. The SAFE program, once again, we just explained how that works. So just once again, Google the information or go to the Hawaii's website, the state of Hawaii's own travel website to get more details on their Corona protocols and rules. Now, if you're flying to a specific island, let's say you're flying to Maui or Kauai, you're going to want to make sure you check that out because Kauai actually has some of the toughest rules. They actually opted out of what's called that Clear Safe Travel program, and they've created their own stricter protocol that requires everyone to quarantine for a period of time, 3 to 5 days based upon when you land. I don't know how they determine it, but it's still kind of in process of their full policy. Since January 5th, you're going to have to show proof of a negative test. And then once again, you're going to have to be quarantined. And it's basically up to 72 hours. Depending on circumstances and where you're at, it could be up to 5 days. But 72 hours is 3 days in what's called a participating bubble resort. Now in Kauai, I have no idea what a participating bubble resort is. So if you're going to Kauai, make sure that you look this stuff up. If you're just going to Oahu or Maui, it's a lot less restrictive. So just to have a heads up about Kauai. I wanted to pick out one international country in Asia, Thailand. They've approved what's called a quarantine waiver for tourists that have been vaccinated. So in Thailand, they agreed to allow foreigners that have had not only a negative test, but actually have had the vaccine to actually come into Thailand. So hopefully we'll start seeing Asia start opening up also. Now I want to tell you who probably is the worst of the worst around the world, and that's Canada. Unfortunately, if you're looking to go to Canada, I would suggest don't go. Canada is really terrible. It's almost like a police state. They mandate that when you land, you are quarantined for 14 days, even if you don't have symptoms, even if you have a negative test. And you have to comply with what's called a mandatory quarantine and isolation, and failure results in fines, penalties, and imprisonment. And actually, what's interesting is that you have to go in this unmarked van from the airport to one of the hotels that you don't even get to select. And then you get the ability to pay it close to anywhere from $700 to $1,000 a day, and hope that you're going to be able to get food. You have to stay in your room. You can't go anywhere. They have armed police and security people at all these locations. So I would just say stay away from Canada. That's a place you definitely don't want to go. If for some reason you do need to go to Canada, here's the website to check it out, canada.ca, and then go from there. Public Health Service Disease, Coronavirus. You could just Google all that for Canada, and this website will come up. This is called the Arrive Can system. So make sure you check that out and do whatever you can to hopefully stay away from Canada. All right, we're going to switch gears and talk about some of the biggest questions that come into our customer service department. Now, I want you guys to understand that with Premier Eco Lifestyle Subscription, you have a dashboard of benefits. That dashboard of benefits provide different access to different services that are serviced by different vendors and suppliers. When you actually go to the booking engine, when you click into the booking engine banner, one question that's coming up quite often is, how can I continue to change or add a traveler? Now, I want to provide you a little bit of training and understanding of this section. When you click into My Account, once you go to the booking, go to your dashboard, go to the booking engine. Once the booking engine opens, you're going to see a section up at the top called My Account. Click on My Account, and then over on the left, you're going to see a left navigation bar. Click on My Profile. When you click on My Profile, it's going to say Manage Travelers. What that really needs to say is Manage Members. Okay? It's not travelers, it's really members. So this is not where you add unlimited travelers or change travelers whenever you want to. This is a place where you're actually one time only. If you need to make a change, we'll make an exception. I'll approve an exception. And you have to email us at support@premiertravelsavings.com. Support@premiertravelsavings.com if you want to change that, and we'll give you the information of what we need to do that. But when you log in for the very first time, it's empty. So you're able to click on that Add Traveler, which really means add a co-member. This is somebody that is more than likely going to be able to travel outside of your travels, meaning that they have the same access into your membership because you're going to give them access. You're going to give them your email, give them the password to get in. Now, this is somebody that's trusted, like a spouse or a significant other or an adult child over 21 years of age with a credit card, maybe a business partner, somebody like that. But whoever that person is, they have to be trusted. In addition, that's a person that's going to be kind of a co-member that can travel even without you. So this is what this section is for. It's not for continuously changing and updating travelers. The next section right below My Profile is called Credit Cards. Here you need to add you as the member, your credit card, and have your co-member, your co-traveler member, have them add their credit card. Because when you go through the checkout process on anything on this booking engine, you're going to have a credit card on file to process the balance of the transaction. So anyone that's a co-member with you, they can travel and have their own credit card on file, but that's it. You cannot book for other people that are not traveling with you. That's another thing we'll talk about in a minute. Now, what does add more travelers really mean? Add more travelers means that when you're booking something like an airline tickets, and by the way, for those of you that did not attend our last month travel talk, we talked about airline ticketing. Also, I was on last week's Wednesday workshop, travel PES workshop, and I talked about airline ticketing. If you decide you are going to be conducting an airline transaction on the platform, this is where you actually add the travelers. So let's say in this example, you had 2 adults, 1 kid, and 1 infant. Once you go through the payment process, it's going to ask you for the names of the people, their date of births, potentially passport information if you're traveling international. This is where you add the travelers. You don't add the travelers in that back office section where the profile is that I shared just a minute ago, okay? Another way that you can add travelers is when you book hotels. Remember, with our system, you can book up to 5 hotel rooms. 1 hotel room needs to be you. You have to travel. You just can't be a travel agent and book for other people. If you want to be a travel agent, then learn about our travel agent program. But if you're a PES member, you can have people travel with you, And you could book up to 5 rooms. 1 room needs to be yours. And then the balance of the rooms, you'll be able to add the names of those people once you select the credit card payment. Now take a look at this example. I did an example of Orlando, Florida. And this is for 4 rooms. And take a look at the result here. For 4 rooms, there was $2,845 in savings. So you are able to save the people that are traveling with you money. Now, they can't use their credit card to pay for it. They're going to have to reimburse you. But where you add the traveler name is you assign the lead person to the hotel. So once you click on the payment system, then it's going to open up down below. You'll see guest information for room 2, guest information for room 3. You're going to put their name and their last name. That's all you need to do in terms of adding a traveler. When they show up to the hotel, even if they're not with you, they'll be able to pull up their name on that reservation, and then they'll be able to put their credit card on file for incidentals. So this is how you book multiple hotel rooms and extend a savings and a benefit to people that are traveling with you. And obviously the other option is just send an echo. If you send an echo out, those that are going to be traveling can save up to 50% of whatever the available savings is. So in this case, you'll notice that this is the full savings of 51%. If you sent an echo out, they would actually save half of that, which would be about 20, 25, 26%. And then you would get the balance of that 25 to 26% in dollar for dollar reward credits. So understand, everybody, the reason I'm sharing this with you, because right now, this is the #1 question coming into our customer service department, and we need to be very clear about that. As I stated before, you cannot book for any other persons that are not traveling with you. We do have a home-based travel agent program in the United States. We're hopefully going to be introducing our home-based agent program for South America in the 1st to 2nd week in May. I'll know more tomorrow. But you can, like I said before, add that second person as a co-member in that profile section, okay? So no booking for people that are not traveling with you, and you cannot put other people's credit card in the system. All right, support issues. This is the #2 problem. We have people sending email to support@premiertravelsavings.com for booking engine questions. Booking engine questions go to the booking engine. The support@premiertravelsavings.com is general dashboard questions, or if you need assistance in changing one time that co-member that I just shared with you, okay? Outside of that, if you got airline ticket issues, if you have refund issues, if you have change of ticket issues, you need to log into your booking engine, click on support, and you're going to see telephone numbers, you're going to see live chat, and book a concierge. Live chat is in language and most part almost 24/7, depending upon where you are around the world. So live chat, and then also, if you have enough time, you can actually schedule a concierge appointment. When you click on book a personal concierge appointment, you're able to set up a day and a time to actually speak with a reservation specialist for something more complex, or follow up on maybe it was an issue with a refund or a change of a ticket or whatever it may be. That's where you get your support. Please do not email travel related stuff to support@premiertravelsavings.com. Also, for those of you that are having questions about your Mexico voucher, do not email us about changing your reservations or booking your reservations with that 8-day, 7-night Mexico vacation. We have nothing to do with that. We provide the voucher, and then you register that voucher at a separate website called Privileges. So those of you that have gotten that certificate, when you register it, you go to a privilege registration website. That is the same website you get all your support for any reservations issue, change of reservation, or any questions about your reservation. We do not have access to any of that information. That's directly with the resort. Once again, always remember, take the time to read your frequently asked questions. So when you click into your booking engine, click onto support. In the center, you're going to see frequently asked questions. Make sure you take the time to review all those questions and get a better understanding on how to maximize your benefits and how to get assistance and help with all the different areas that you could potentially need assistance with. So Dave, that's a kind of a quick overview of this month's Travel Talk. I'm going to go ahead and kind of turn it over to you and see if we might have any questions today.
Rob, thank you very much. That information that you were sharing in the first part of your presentation about the different COVID requirements, extremely helpful. I think that we probably can advise everyone that it never hurts to double and even triple check what the requirements might be on the particular day or time frame that they're looking to travel, just in case anything might have changed.
It's always changing, Dave. It's always changing.
Right, right. You know, it was a few weeks ago, maybe about 6 weeks ago, that I, in fact, took my very first trip outside of the United States since the pandemic started, because I needed to go do some by design business in Brazil. Well, I had to have the PCR COVID-19 test in the United States to be allowed to enter Brazil. But then I also had to have the same test again when I left Brazil to come back to the United States. And it actually worked out flawlessly. It was very convenient as long as you had the test and the documentation. In fact, when I came back from Brazil, there was a service that was available right at my hotel. And the nurse came in full protective regalia, came right to my room, gave me the test. And in that particular case, I had the results about 4 or 5 hours later. Because the other thing is it has to, of course, as you said, be within 72 hours of your date of departure. So I didn't find any inconvenience whatsoever. I just had to make sure that I had the paperwork, and it went like clockwork. So it doesn't have to be something that is necessarily slowing us down right now, as long as we're aware of what those requirements are. And of course, you know, we're hopefully in a much better situation right now because the vaccinations are rolling out across the world. In fact, just here in the United States, I just heard the news just this morning that effective today, the vaccination is now everybody 16 years of age and older are completely eligible to receive the vaccination. So let's hope that millions and millions of more people around the world get the vaccinations, get fully protected, so that will be one big step in taking things back in the direction of hopefully becoming normal again before too long.
Yeah, and you made a good point, Dave, that anyone that's traveling, we get often a question about what happens if I'm traveling and I'm at a resort. Just know that every resort has a protocol for getting you your test. A lot of them include it in your hotel. And then if you happen to test positive, pretty much every resort that I've been reviewing has a protocol that they'll actually put you up in their hotel during the quarantine time to get better. So there's all sorts of great opportunities with resorts that are working to assist in making travelers more comfortable in being able to have access to those tests. If they test positive, there's a solution for that. But I'll also stipulate that y'all should take a look at getting travel insurance. Travel insurance is really important, especially for higher end trips. So if you're paying, good money for a trip, I would highly recommend getting travel insurance and get the ones that include the COVID medical emergency assistance, because those are really important in the event that whatever it is you got going on with the resort maxes out. You'll have this insurance policy for medical flyouts, for assistance or whatever. So I really encourage everybody, especially right now, to get travel insurance.
Very, very good piece of advice. One other question that I think that you will be the perfect person to respond to, and that is that would you agree that to some extent travel domestically within whatever country you're talking about tends to be a little bit easier right now than the international travel as far as the overall restrictions? Would you agree with that?
Definitely agree with that. A lot of countries you can travel pretty good inside of the country. United States is like multiple countries within a country. So they all have their own different rules and guidelines. But for the most part, if you're in a country, unless they have providences or some type of major separation of how they have independent, regulatory bodies in different areas, you shouldn't have any problems or issues. And the worst that I've seen is, having to take a test 72 hours before getting on the flight.
Right, right. Well, the issue that I had when I was leaving the United States, I got my test, but the test does not have an immediate turnaround because of the sophisticated nature of the test. So within that 72-hour window, it can be a little bit dicey. I just made sure that within an hour or two of that window, that's when I had my test. That was on a Wednesday. My departure was on a Saturday morning. I ended up getting the results back on Friday, so it was no problem at all.
Yeah.
And another question that I think that you'll be the perfect person to answer as well. I know that many of the major airlines around the world during this pandemic time have basically waived all of the change fees that used to be associated with those tickets. And I mean, I remember sometimes the change fee was, maybe it was $100, maybe it was $200 or $250, but then it even was going to $400 for a change fee. But right now, is it still the case that most major airlines around the world are still being very lenient and not assessing change fees for passengers that need to make changes?
Yes. I can't really provide a good insight on every international carrier. The major international carriers that come into the United States are very flexible, but the domestic carriers in the United States are all really good at it. Like to your point, to me, I think change fees are a ripoff. I think it's a sham. A lot of time those change fees take them literally 30 seconds to do something. It doesn't cost them anything. It's just a way for the airlines to make more money. But saying that, they have been very respective of if you do book something and you need to change it, they'll change it. Getting refunds is a whole different issue. What they'll do is they'll give you credit. They're not going to be giving you refunds. So if you do get an airline ticket and need to change it, what they'll do is they'll say, okay, you have this ticket, and they'll give you a ticket number, an electronic voucher, and then you have up to a year to apply it to something else, right? So that way you don't lose it. So yeah, those change fees have been great to see go away, and hopefully that'll stay away permanently.
Right, right. Well, I think my last question for tonight, you gave a wonderful shout out to the beautiful islands of Hawaii. And in fact, it was only a day or two ago that on something that I happened to see on television, it showed Hawaii, that amazing turquoise blue, beautiful water. And I thought, oh, wow, wouldn't it be great to get back to Hawaii sooner rather than later? And I spent a lot of time in Hawaii when I was younger. In fact, I won't bore anybody with the details, but as a Haole boy working in the pineapple fields in Hawaii, that gives you a little bit of an idea that I was really a local boy in Hawaii, picking and planting pineapple in the fields of Molokai and Lanai. But that shout out to Hawaii was awesome. I'm just wondering, another destination. I mentioned Las Vegas, that we had a bunch of our Key by Design leaders from South America that were with us in Las Vegas only a week ago. I'm wondering what kind of general comment you might make, sort of shining a little bit of a spotlight on Las Vegas and the opportunities that are existing right now in Las Vegas, similar to maybe some of the comments that you were making about Hawaii. But what would you say about Las Vegas specifically to our people tonight?
Okay, Las Vegas is real easy to get into. They don't have any restrictions or mandates or test within 72 hours. Pretty much every hotel's open. They do obviously have the mask mandate and the 6-foot rule thing and all that. They have restrictions on the amount of occupancy in restaurants and things like that. But for the most part, Las Vegas is actually a good place to go. There's a lot of great deals in Las Vegas. I was looking at our booking engine, and there's a lot of hot deals in Las Vegas. And there's a lot of good things that you can do there also. And they are opening up back conventions back there. So they are opening up convention space. So conventions are starting to roll back in. So we're excited to see some things happening for Nevada and Las Vegas market. But I mean, I'm just going to tell you, Dave, my favorite place in the United States right now is Florida. There's just no way around it. You know, if you have a family, we have some great condos. We have some on our booking engine in our weeks section. We have some unbelievable 1 and 2, 3 bedroom condos, you know, that you could get as low as $30 a night that have nets, right? And so if you have a family and want to take a little vacation, the city that's actually right near all the Disney properties, which is the Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Animal Kingdom. Then you get into Universal Studios. Universal Studios is my favorite now. That's just my flat out favorite location. And so all those places are near a city called Kissimmee. And so when you're in the system, look up Kissimmee in the condo weeks section, and you're going to find some incredible deals, and take a look at going there, and then click into the activities and take a look at a bunch of the activities that you can pre-purchase. But I would highly recommend Florida as a destination, no matter where you are around the world. It's a great place to go. And they are definitely the leading state in getting back to normalization, with Texas being number 2.
Wow, great recommendation. I'm from Florida, and my driver's license is from Florida. And in fact, only a few weeks ago, my wife and our daughter and 2 of our granddaughters, they went to Orlando, specifically go to Universal Studios and have the Harry Potter experience. And they had a phenomenal time.
Yeah, I mean, that Harry Potter thing, I wasn't really a Harry Potter fan prior to this. My wife is a fanatic Harry Potter person, and she got me hooked on it. You know, watched all the movies, and then we went there. So let me tell you how bad it is. I went there for the first time in November, and then we've been there 3 additional times. We had such a good time. And so I'm working to let you guys know, we have this great thing called by design dream escapes that we're going to be putting together, that are going to be 4-day 3-night and 5-day 4-night getaways around the world. And we have actually one coming up, looks like in Costa Rica. And then we're going to have one coming up in Mexico. And then we're going to have one coming up in the United States. And we'll probably do Florida. So that way a lot of our South America friends could come into the Florida one that we're going to be doing. And then those in the United States from all over the United States can get to Florida quite easily. So we got a lot of good things. We have an Asia one that we're working on. So we got some cool things going on behind the scenes.
How great. Super, super excited to get all of this information. And definitely, I know that our people are going to be really excited about the Dream Escapes, that I know that that's something that we're working on right now. You mentioned Costa Rica, another favorite destination of mine. I love their slogan in Costa Rica, Pura Vida. It's a pure life. So, Rob, thank you so very much. I think that we're all feeling a sense of excitement that traveling is going to start picking up again. I'm sure that it's going to take another several months, maybe even a year, before we're totally back to normal, maybe even a little bit beyond that. But at least right now, we can actually tell people, be safe, get vaccinated, and go and have a great time. Create great memories with your family, whether you're going to Florida, to Hawaii, even to Texas, to Las Vegas, to Costa Rica. And so great to be with you tonight. Thank you so much for sharing your time, your talents, your wisdom, your knowledge with us. And on behalf of BD Nation, I say to you, thank you so much for sharing this time again and coming into our homes or our hotel rooms, wherever we happen to be right now. So Rob, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Bye-bye.